So we are about to embark on a road trip, again, up to Orlando. It seems that we're always doing things up in Orlando. There's nothing in our area to do.
We live in the country,
That's
so...
true. That's true.
But I'm very excited.
I know.
I am so excited. I have been following these people on Instagram for like a year and a half now, and they are the most phenomenal cosplay couple I have ever seen.
That's right. We first met this couple when we did Spooky Empire.
Spooky Empire.
Back in, it was actually the day after Halloween that we went. It was November 1st, 2019. I remember
You can actually see this video here on our YouTube.
Yeah, actually, I'll put a little clip right here.
Oh my gosh.
You know, I can't go anywhere. They're always videoing me.
I bet.
I see you like unicorns.
A little.
That's nice. I got a horn too.
Oh yeah?
But we won't talk about it.
Oh my.
It is natural.
He's a little anxious. You know what I mean?
Don't worry, I'm not the last of them either.
Yeah.
No.
Where can a guy like you go when you're feeling a little anxious?
Right. Just hang out Dante's Inferno.
Ah.
What is this, a plug for them? You know.
Wonderful,
super
talented,
cool people.
And we're going to get to go meet them. So we got to meet Beetlejuice and Lydia, but we have never met Rob and Kyla.
That's
so
right.
I am so excited. They have these really amazing workroom and stuff like that I've seen on Instagram. And being creators and artists ourselves, it's really, really exciting to go see somebody else's creative space. So I'm very excited to meet them and become buddies.
They invited us over to come hang out and play pinball. So
Play pinball. They're like, you guys want to come and like play pinball? And we're like, yup. Did we just become best friends? Yup.
All right, so you want to ready?
Let's go. Let's stop and get some gas and some snacks because you know I have to have snacks. And then let's go see our friends.
Okay.
Let's go meet new friends. I'm so excited.
So we finally made it to Rob and Kyla's amazing facility, their amazing house. They gave us a brief tour of some of the locations here. And we're going to get some footage of that here in a little bit. But to begin with, you guys are like the epitome of the entrepreneurial spirit, if you will. Taking your abilities and natural talents and like making something out of it.
Yeah.
You know.
That's a good way to think.
I like that. I like that.
I like that.
He needs to be our publicist.
Well, so for years, and I do mean literally years, going to cons and stuff like that, I would always see your guys', especially like the Beetlejuice booth at Comic-Cons and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it was something always fun to watch, not knowing who you guys were. It was just something passing by at the time, watching what was going on, just being like...
It was a highlight.
That's really freaking cool, right? And it wasn't until Spooky Empire 2019 that we engaged you guys for the first time. I watched you interact with people individually, and you make every single interaction a very unique situation. and the way Rob acts off the top of his head, and then you there as Lydia, just kind of like reining in the reality of trying to keep him in check. Meanwhile, he is Beetlejuice at the same time, doing Beetlejuice things. How much practice? I obviously been doing Beetlejuice for a long time.
Oh yeah, I started I was with the Great Fright Way when it used to work at Universal. I got hired to be Beetlejuice at Universal. I've done the Great Fright Way with Ghostbusters, and then I went from there over to Beetlejuice's Graveyard Review, and I did Beetlejuice over there. So I have thank goodness for theme park training, everyone. And my improv skills started back at Disney. And then theme parks, it helps the training.
Yeah.
Sure.
And I owe all of my skills from working at theme parks in entertainment. And improv just comes natural to me. And so I was like, well, what better characters to do is to do Beetlejuice, and because that's what he is. Everything's off the top of your head.
And you've been doing Beetlejuice for quite some time, like outside too, just as like a party host character.
Okay.
And then there was like, we've been friends for a long time together working at Universal. That there was this year, what was it, 2017 Spooky?
At Omni. No, we did Omni.
Omni was the first one.
Was the first one.
So how we joined forces started at Omni, and he said, oh, you made a Lydia wedding dress for Halloween. Oh, I loved your costume. You make a great Lydia. How about you work with me and we'll be characters together at this event? Great. bud, you know, and then like I showed up to do that.
Bud.
You
not
know,
dating, but
not
just
yet.
buds.
Right.
And then this was like March 2017, and then showed up for the day, and I was like, oh wow, I love being his teammate. This is so much fun. We had, you know, a lot of laughs.
Natural
we didn't even
chemistry.
have a booth then. We didn't even do a photo booth in those days. It was just roam around, take pictures, hi, how are you, pass out cards or talk to people. And then we did Spooky Empire 2017. That was our first photo booth. And then it was such a fun weekend. And then I was like, and by the last day of the show, it felt like a death. You know, like when you have to strike the show, it's over. You're like, oh, that was the funnest thing I've ever had in my whole lifetime.
We had natural chemistry.
Yeah.
When her and I when we first did Omni, I noticed how quick she was to come back at my comebacks.
Sure.
And I'm like, oh, this works really, really well. So when we did Spooky, we were so awkward because I said, I could make this into a friend. Me being the business guy, I'm like, I can make money doing this.
Yeah.
And so I said, let me do a photo op. I can do a photo op for this. And so I'm like, I don't have equipment. So I reached out to a couple of my friends who had equipment to make all the lighting.
Yeah.
And then I said, well, I don't have a photographer. I hired a friend who did photography, and I said, we've got to turn quickly. You've got to have a printer fast enough to print something quick and get it out. So I hired them, and we did it, but it was so, the timing and getting people was so undone yet. And it took a little bit longer to work out the kinks and everything.
Yeah.
And then I said, why do I have to hire out everybody? I'm not making, and after it was all said and done, I walked away with hardly anything because I had to pay everybody.
Yeah.
And so I said, why can't I do it myself? I can do it myself. So I started learning and researching what the theme parks do in their photo ops. There's great, you know, when you go see Spider-Man.
What kind of printer?
What printers they used and this and that. So I started learning and I started reading about systems that can do that. So I said, I'll do it myself. So
now we got our whole.
Now I've got it down to a science, and it's a quick turnaround, but I can theme the heck out of it and give you a picture. And now what we do, because of COVID, it's amazing that the software that I use to take the photos, they update constantly. So they actually included new COVID guidelines in the software. So now people can use a QR code. The moment it takes a picture, instead of getting a printed one, it pops up with a QR and you can scan it and it instantaneously downloads to your phone.
So it gives you a digital, so they don't even have to touch the screen.
And they don't have to touch the screen.
Put their email in
because
or
of COVID,
anything.
they did it this way so that people don't have to touch it. And if people aren't phone savvy, like her or I can use the touch screen and do it for them.
Right.
So they never have to touch anything. But
we've been making adjustments like since the beginning.
constant adjustments.
Sure.
Constant. It's always tweaking. Everything's always a tweaking.
And now we're at the point where we have our own photo equipment, our own everything. So it's like now we've become that like traveling circus where we're just like, all right, load everything in the trailer and go.
It's carnival. We break down and we go to the next town. But when we first started doing it, nobody was doing photo ops like what we were doing at Comic-Con. Our first Beetlejuice and
that was at Omni. That was the, hey bud, come in and do this gig with me.
that was pre-dating.
So pretty. That dress, the layers and the detail in that dress. I can see why all the little girls gravitate to you because you do look like a
princess.
You look like a dark princess. Oh, there's Lydia. Look at that. So pretty.
I really need to like remake her. She's just been through so much. Her ruffles, I have to always give it like a nice steam when before I do
You're
it.
rebuilding. You're making another one, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I am just in awe of your skills.
How long did this one take you?
Oh gosh, like
and
50,
this was just a Halloween costume. Right?
50, 60 hours.
Oh,
it's
wow.
a lot of ruffles.
Yeah.
And it was before I had a presser foot on my machine that could actually make the ruffles for me. So I did it in like the really time consuming like beginner's way of doing it.
Oh man.
So now that I have like the proper thing, I'm like, oh, I'd love to like remake this dress. And just like, I have like about 10 bolts of this fabric still, because I just bought way too many. And,
better have too much than not enough.
Yeah, I did make a wedding dress for a lady last year. That was like the one costume commission I did have like before COVID hit. And she she would come in like with her mask, and we'd have like her fittings, and she had similar like Lydia hair, so she was like perfect for it, but she wanted a big Lydia dress. But I made like the plume like more dramatic on the sides, and so much fun. So now that I've made 2, I'm ready to make mine.
Now,
We
now
did,
you found your...
We did an event called Straight Men Do Drag, and it was to raise money for, it was the LGBTQ, and it was basically, I got asked to do it, so it was me and Monkey doing it. So we wanted to come up with an act, and so we did the Sanderson sisters from White Christmas.
No, the Haynes sisters.
I'm sorry,
Haynes,
not
yes.
Sanderson, the Haynes sisters
Yeah.
So many
from
sisters.
the Haynes. Yeah, I know, all sisters. The Haynes sisters. So she looked, screen grabs. She goes, oh, I know what kind of material that was. So she recreated those costumes from White Christmas.
So you did the Bing and Danny version,
No,
or did
no.
you do the actual?
We did the girls.
Oh, that's amazing.
So we dressed as the girls, and we won.
Naturally.
Nice.
Sisters.
Oh.
Sisters.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
is gorgeous.
And I had them with like a big acrylamide underneath that, so it was like big ol'.
So
And
it
then-
makes it look like the waist was about that big, like
Well,
she was in real life.
my name was anorexia. Haynes.
That's about right. Yeah.
And since Monkey has a big beard, he was Harrietta Haynes. And
Very
so
good.
that worked out. So they were like the rivalry
Yeah.
sisters.
Like on stage, we were sisters, but then like there was a certain point we flipped off each other and we went right back into it.
Yeah.
That's
So
awesome.
when we were done, we were standing on stage getting the crown. I took the crown because I'm the bitch in the group. So as I'm there, a woman walks up and says, I want that dress. So she sold
bought mine.
his dress right there and then because she wanted it. But the good thing about our type of work is we can adapt
Sure.
to
Luckily.
whatever happens. Like we build,
Yeah.
what we've done now is we build, if it's specific characters, we build masks onto our masks. So you get the character's face,
Oh,
but
yeah.
it's masked underneath.
Like Halloween, I did Pennywise, but I had like Spirit Halloween. We found this like latex mask. I cut this portion off just by itself, and I made this like teethy Pennywise kind of mask, and it was cool because then people would get closer and they're like, "Oh, it's a face
Wait, I'll
mask!"
show 'em.
Like they didn't know like that I had
Yeah.
a mask on.
I was actually going to comment that I noticed when you guys did Jack and Sally that you had like
Yeah.
a Sally face
Uh-huh.
mask that was like latex at the
Uh-huh.
same time, and that was really
Thank
cool
you.
looking.
We just trying to like hodgepodge whatever kind of stuff we
These
can.
were our characters that we did for the filming.
Oh yes, yes,
Drive
yes.
it. Yeah. So those
I
were our
love the makeup
movie
job.
characters. Yeah. That's so much fun.
It is just phenomenal.
And so you're wearing face masks inside of these costumes.
the-
Well, not these. I'll
Okay.
show you what those. Oh, there's us. There's our Sanderson sisters.
That was for the taping. But when we did the actual like photo op out
Oh,
of
there
those
we go.
characters, then
Yeah.
we had the masks. And
That
then
was our our.
Very cool.
we had them set up, and then we should have some of Merlin and Trixie.
And that was
somewhere.
us as Columbia
Uh-huh.
and Riff Raff.
So much fun.
That's brilliantly done. It's definitely a forced perspective, and I love that.
Yeah, because they were like at least like 8 feet out. But
Yeah,
it
from
doesn't
where they're
seem
sitting.
Like it. But then
Oh,
if,
no kidding.
If
Yeah,
I was,
her and I are actually
I
really
was
far
kinda the
away from them.
closer up character, so I would always have a mask just to like make sure they get their like emails put in or their QR code. But then just like trying to like get people into their seats and stuff.
Little ladies.
Oh,
Oh, that
yeah.
one.
Yeah, this is what Gretchen was talking about
Yes.
here. Yeah.
So well done.
So much fun, and it was great because then like you only have to do your makeup from your like cheekbones up, and so it did save us a lot of time. But like, getting that bald cap on him, it's like doing the Uncle Fester makeup. But we had such a fun time.
Oh, Jack and Sally. Yeah.
Nice.
Look at those tails.
So much of that.
Is this
tulip-
like
it's
puff
the-
paint?
Yeah, it's the puff paint. It's like the
Wow.
matte, or no, I had slick puff paint, and then
She's
got puff paint on her too. I did, like a mad person.
Huh.
I made this costume a long time ago, and when I did walked around, I had like, I love when you like incorporate your purse as part of your costume.
Perfect.
So I did.
Nice.
So when I was like, I need something to put my things in, I was like always finding a way to build like a little bag with it. Like when I did Harley Quinn, I built my hammer and I built like a little trap door where I could open up and like put my phone in it and stuff.
Brilliant.
And I was like, I have to just have like my camera, my phone and stuff. And I'm just like holding this heavy like mallet, but I was like, worth it. I was like, because I hate having like a bag and a prop. Like,
sure.
Put them together and then you're fine. I'm just like that crazy person that loves to figure out like how things are put together with a pattern. And you know, I've always been sewing. Like I started with the pillowcase and then I started sewing my own Halloween costumes like by the time I was like 12 or something. I had my mom like teach me 100,000 times how to thread the machine, and I'm like, can you show me again? But then eventually I learned, and I just like kind of started teaching myself like how to do makeup, and I just have no formal training because, you know, like school is so expensive. But
and if you want to learn something now, though, YouTube it.
YouTube, absolutely.
Exactly.
If people want to learn, I tell people all the time.
It's at the tip of your fingers. Like if I don't know how to do it, I'll try to look it up and see like if there's like a better way to do it.
It's such a good research tool.
It really is. I love that kind of stuff. So like any kind of thing is a challenge for us. So we're just always making more costumes, and right now we've got Ghostbusters. I think that's our next one. That's the big.
And then the one after that, we're doing Labyrinth. That's the year after.
We're a big Henson fan.
Yes.
We just love.
So we're gonna make the Goblin King throne. I never thought I looked a lot like Bowie, but
that makeup
the makeup though. But we actually during COVID we started doing album covers. Like every week, we would recreate the album covers of all Bowie.
Yeah.
We haven't released them yet. We actually did, and I'm like, wow, I do look like Bowie. But
Bowie.
We're gonna do the recreation of the throne.
Okay.
And I'll be up there. She'll be in the ballroom dress.
Yeah, it's gonna be the ballroom scene with those like Venetian costumes, and I really want to get a brick wall somewhere with the worm puppet. I love that character, and he's just like, I'll just have someone like puppeteer him when people like interact with him. And that could be like the first thing you take a picture with, and then you can go into like Jareth's lair or something, and it's like, you know, the ballroom. It'll be like a mix of the two sets together, I think, and then just because I just love those costumes.
And she's been building my costume. Like she's got my boots already. She's building handcrafting.
Jacket.
She's taken the still shots of his entire outfit. Well, she's going to start handcrafting all of that.
That's amazing.
It's fabulous when you can get great reference photos from like YouTube or just the online archives of like film used costumes. Like they had the Henson exhibit where they had the ballroom costumes on display, so you could get like a really good 360 perspective of the costume. So it's like great reference. And then like with Gozer, there was these pictures of they uncovered the Ghostbuster costume from the original screen used Gozer. So I've taken those photos just to see like what kind of fabrics did they truly use. And then so now that's kind of set aside, and now I've got all the materials. It's just a matter of like stitching those on. And at the moment, Gozer's got the lights and the first 80% of the bubbles sewn on, but it's going to be like another 80 hours.
Come on in.
How
fun. Oh, look, babe.
There's Gozer.
The start. So many more things to sew on her. At the end, you won't even see the cat suit.
Yeah.
Because it's gonna be all that mesh and this iridescent kind of material.
So cool.
And then there's this kind of cobwebby looking textured organic kind of stuff that I'm gonna have to just sew in little pieces. And then the wires are already sewn in, so the pink, purple kind of lights shoot down and chase down the arm.
Wow. Okay.
And then she's got a battery pack and another pack for her mic to go in the back. And then that's her wig. I have to style her up.
That is so
she's
awesome.
gonna be I'm gonna have to just do a time-lapse video working on her. I've started a time-lapse video from early quarantine when I started working on her, but I just have to sit down and really crank it out. I haven't even touched the back. She's only got bubbles up the front.
I mean, those bubbles clearly
I tried
take
to place them as close to where screen accurate, because on her there's so many pictures. I'm okay, the bubble's too far to the left. Like, I'm like meticulously doing it to her proportions. But
that is a gorgeous tuxedo.
Isn't it? He had this before. I just did some like adjustments on it because I wanted it to like. It's like almost like how all of Beetlejuice's costumes don't quite fit him.
Yeah.
It's like he stole it off another corpse and it was like 2 sizes too small, so the sleeves are like up to here.
Yeah.
And his big old, so I had to tailor everything. I was like, I like this,
you had
but
to make it not fit him properly.
Exactly.
And
I'm
this
like,
is
your
my
suit fits too
Uncle
low.
Fester.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, nice.
And such quality pieces.
Yeah.
Like these, I can tell that's wool.
It looks
it's beautiful.
It looks
Oh, yeah.
legit.
We got lucky.
Oh, that
finding
thing's heavy.
coat.
Oh yeah,
It's like a peat coat. You
It's
know?
great inside the cons, but you cook.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Gosh, you really do.
we're in Florida, guys. It's this is suffering for your art. Oh,
Nice.
look at that.
This was one of my first like men's suits I actually made from scratch. I've never made a men's suit before.
And all the
Look at
stripes are in the right locations. And
It's screen
I
accurate.
had
That's
to
what
count.
you're saying.
I had to count how many stripes Michael Keaton had down his arm.
yeah, you screen grabbed it and counted all the
Yeah.
stripes.
And
See,
I
that
used
is
a
the
pattern.
attention to detail that is I just respect so much. That is just
But
wonderful.
yeah, and I didn't want it clean, so I had to kind of like.
The fun part is researching and
Yeah.
finding the real materials. Going back, because
I try and get it as close.
it
as
was
I
made
can.
in the 80s. So a lot of
Yeah.
the materials aren't available anymore, but
Oh.
you can research, you can find them,
As
and
close
that's
as
the
you
fun
can.
part is
Yeah.
discovering, like when I build the time machine, knowing what all the real parts are and recreating, finding all those parts online. And
Yeah.
we're still like, we have a monitor this size at the shop, and when we build it, we have reference photos because a certain wire has to be placed a certain way.
Yeah.
And so, devil in the details.
Yeah.
So researching is just so much fun. And that's half the thing. And especially when you get the product finished and the guests look at it and go, oh my God, this is amazing. This is wonderful. And, you take pride in getting it and doing it right.
Yeah.
If you're going to do it, you do it right and do it to the best
Yeah.
of what it originally was. And people have a lot of, they respect, when they see the kind of work and detail
Yeah.
you put into it.
And the costumes, the sets, like when you guys came to meet Beetlejuice, we had the wedding set, correct?
Mhm.
So
Yep.
that was like our first set we ever built together.
Yep.
And that was so
To
much
scale.
fun. To scale, because Winona Ryder and I are the same height. So then we took a projector
And outside.
with that scene at night, we projected it onto the wall and had that big slab of foam to carve the wonky
Yeah.
arches. So, because we were like, I was gonna draft it, but I'm like, I would not get those lines just right.
And it was with
if we
Winona
project
Ryder
it.
standing there. So it's a picture of Winona
Of that
and
scene.
Michael Keaton
Yeah.
standing there. And then she put herself in that same position. Then I pulled the...
So you could scale it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just
and then
so
I
it's
pulled,
like the same
and
size.
she stood like her, and I pulled back until her and Winona were the same height.
Yeah.
And so then it would put the arches in the right scale. So then she sketched on the foam,
Yeah.
and then we cut it out, and it's the perfect scale to match
It
the people.
worked. We've taken those arches all around, and
Mhm.
like they've been beat up so much, but it's like we did the kind of
Monster
Elmer's
mud it.
glue, the paper mache trick, but it's you use brown paper, and you could slam that thing against the table, and the
Yeah,
paint
now it
won't
won't
chip.
break.
Nothing's gonna break. So it's like we did that. We carved it out of foam, then we paper mached the front end, and then dry brush painted and glow painted it. So, it's like that was our first set, and we're like, it's our first baby. And then making that little like Reverend guy with the Beetlejuice set and his little book and stuff.
Which is a costume. So if we ever had, and we have a couple of our friends, our little people friends, that they can get into it.
I have a friend that really wants to play the Reverend, and if I put like a microphone inside of the helmet head, he'd be like, "Ooh, you Lydia," and be like the full character.
Or freak
and-
people out because
yeah.
when he moves, they're like, "Oh my God, it's really it moves."
Oh yeah.
So when it comes to licensed characters from Universal Studios, who you guys have both worked for,
Yeah.
when it comes to doing your own take of those characters? Is there any sort of stepping on the toes of the parent company?
Well, we do it very tastefully.
Yeah.
Like, we were still working at Universal on a regular basis, but we weren't doing those characters.
No.
They all knew what we did. They all knew what
They always had a rule, like, if you're not currently doing that character, then you're good.
Yeah, because when Beetlejuice closed, I didn't start doing Beetlejuice out on the street. That sounds horrible. Until pretty much when I left
The show.
the Graveyard Review. So I didn't technically do the character anymore. And so that's how they were like, okay, we're cool with it. And same thing with Marty. Marty wasn't renewed as a character in the park anymore, so I'm able to do Marty outside the park.
But it's all of our own
And
creation.
it's our own
I love how
version.
also like doing the wedding Beetlejuice, it's like a totally different set, totally different costume. So we're not doing that like stripes suit. Even though we have that costume, we don't like to go out in that classic one because we just love doing the lesser known scenes, and people just always light up when they see that wedding scene that we're like, we want to bring that to life.
Her red wedding dress is what pops and what people see it.
Our first
first thing you
time
see.
doing those characters, we did have Tim Burton come back to us and comment nice costumes or nice
Really?
character. So like we were like, we're on to something good here. If Tim Burton, like, I should have screenshotted that. I have to find where that is, but that was like our first when we did Omni. It was that photo of us that Tabitha took of us, and Tim Burton said nice costumes, and I was like, oh my gosh, and just nerded out because I'm such a big Burton fan, and
that feels like that would be like an awesome
it's super validation is what it is. Yeah.
But like we've always been in the green because we just like give out to charity every year.
Yeah.
So like I feel like when we have reached out to WB or something that just like, we've never heard back, so we're like, okay, I guess no news is good news. So like we're just, as long as we keep that integrity of like keeping it true to the film.
Yes, and I don't do any. We don't do any risk. Like I've had random character, requests going. Can you do this with holding my leg and stuff like that? And
Some
I usually
of it,
don't.
you're like,
I'm very. A lot of stuff's very borderline because I don't want to lose the integrity of the character.
Yeah.
Especially Back to the Future. I don't do anything that could lead to something because Bob Gale, I know real personal, and he keeps track of all of what I do and
Back to the Future
and
stuff.
Back to the Future.
Yeah.
And so I just had a request for me to be in Miami at a strip club. There's a strip club that wanted Doc and Marty to be there because they're looking to the future. And I'm like, no, because Marty would never go there.
No.
Marty would never go into a strip club.
Or like,
So,
that would be
and they
some
were going to pay me
interesting
good.
pictures.
They were offering good money, and I turned it down.
Yeah.
And I said, no, I'm not going to lose the integrity of that character, and I won't.
Yeah, because then if Bob Gale ever saw those pictures, like, you just don't want to.
It's a can of worms that you don't want to deal with.
Yeah, because
That
then it sets
particular
that
character
precedent.
is just near and dear to me, and so I treat it very seriously and everything. Oh, me and Michael. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Look at you. Oh,
And that was at a private event.
so great.
And then that's me and Jeffrey Wiseman that played George McFly in number 2.
Yeah.
We did a gig together in Reno.
That is so awesome. I love that. I love your Jennifer. I love it more than the actual Jennifer.
Oh.
I think I wore a vest like that when I was younger.
I had this vest already when I did the costumes for Heather's the musical.
Okay.
And so the punk rock chick, the stoner chick, like all the ensembles had like an archetype. They kind of did that high school nerd or goth chick. And so I had her wear this vest. And then by the time we got together and I was like, I have to put it together with Jennifer, I was like, I have that vest. and then I found the pants on eBay. I was like, this is pretty, and it's actual
my gosh, look at
80s
that.
vintage.
I say these are denim, right?
Yeah.
This isn't. Oh
It's not like a legging. It's like an actual like.
Yes.
There's only pockets on the front, but it's like definitely like Jay Jordan.
Okay.
So like it's pretty 80s.
And this was
But
Marty's.
I was like, oh my god.
Oh
took forever to
man,
get.
look at that.
Nice.
But yeah, this one was custom made.
That's your first jacket.
Oh yeah, that was
so faded now.
That was my first one, and then this is the screen accurate one.
But it does have like that
Western
cut.
That
And
is
these were
so
the-
fun.
yeah.
There they are.
Oh, nice.
Perfect.
And these are real Nikes, yeah.
Yep.
Man.
Fun. I've got so many pieces.
Even the cuffs on the jacket, like.
The paisley, yeah.
Crazy.
Oh gosh, so many little kids. I'm like, we'll never have any, but like, it's so cute to see them at the shows, like in their happiest moments, you know, and they're not being fussy or anything. They're just like in their, in the zone.
Yeah, we've had kids that come
So
up to us,
cute.
and I had this one kid come up to me, and he was a little challenged, and he was talkative, and his mom started crying, and Dawn told me this later, because Dawn was standing next to her, and when I found out, he doesn't talk to people. He does
Yeah.
not.
And he totally opened up to
He
you.
like we were best buds.
Yeah.
And totally talked to me. Everything was great, and I didn't think anything of it because I didn't see any signs of that.
Right.
And Dawn told me later on that she said that he's mentally handicapped. He has a very hard time socializing, but Beetlejuice is like his favorite movie, and
Crazy.
and that's therapy. And that's what I was saying
So
with a lot of kids who are
sweet.
antisocial. It's therapy. Like the cons are therapy for the kids because they can be
Yeah.
anything but themselves, and makes
Oh,
them
yeah.
feel most comfortable. And that's why her and I love to see the people embrace and come in and really enjoy it.
So when it comes to deciding what you want to do next, with building props, characters, whatever, how much thought goes into that? Do you just look at something and go, that's pretty cool, let's do that? Or is it a character that you kind of have an affinity for to begin with?
Definitely that. Like at the top, we just love the character so much, and then go, but how can we make this like something immersive that people can go into? And then you also have to think like big picture. Okay, we can't make the entire set, but like what of the set can
What's
we
the
make?
most important?
What's the most important parts? How can we travel with this? How can it, break down in a way that we can fit everything Tetris style in our truck, and it's tricky with these big sets, but I think like Gozer this year is going to be the biggest challenge, because I think even though the wedding arches is a lot, it does break down nice and small. So then this Gozer set with the terror dogs, they're massive.
2 full-scale terror dogs, and it's a 6x10 stage.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a massive stage, and it's about this high, and that hasn't been done.
So we'll have to see.
We look at it. She looks at it that way. I look at it in a financial, and I go, okay, this franchise was popular. I look at it. It's popular. The characters are popular. They'll turn. It'll be a good turnkey.
Yeah.
But I look at it as in going, okay, this would sell. This would do well. This doesn't do well. So I try to look at films and like what growth of followers of that film.
Yeah. The demand of the character.
The demand at the time. Even nostalgic
Yeah.
ones, I go, okay, this is how big it was then. Would it go over well, and would it translate for the cons? And because that's what Dawn's very like. We throw ideas at her. She goes, that won't do well. This will do well.
She just wants us to keep doing Beetlejuice.
Because that's her favorite. She's like, I want you guys to. I'm like, no, I want to. People have seen that, and I said, I've got to. We did this year, this next year, because that way it's something new and fresh.
Yeah. Sure.
Because people would come back to get another picture of us doing Beetlejuice and Lydia, but we lost those people that came the first time.
Right.
So I want it to always be new every time, because those people get to come back, and then these people see something new, and then next year it'll be these people that get to see that, but these did last year, but this is something new.
Yeah.
Beetlejuice, we did the Hawaiian. Beetlejuice Goes to Hawaii. We did that one. It was real well because that was supposed to be the sequel.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we did that. The car that you see in Ready Player One that was digitized, that's one of our cars.
Oh,
No kidding.
They borrowed it.
So we built their DeLoreans.
Yeah.
And then for the debut of Ready Player One with Spielberg and everything, that was one of our cars. Bruce actually built the Cyclops, the specific Cyclops that you see. We built that for his
Okay.
car.
Very
yeah.
cool.
So,
Yeah.
and then so we did those characters in Ready Player One, and we were supposed to go to California to go and debut, but something happened where he was working on the second one. That's
Oh,
why.
right. So they were already busy with
Because
that.
we were supposed to go tour the very next year with the writer or the writer, and we were supposed to have our car with him, and her and I were both doing Artemis and
Wade.
Parsival.
Parsival.
Yeah.
Parsival.
Yeah.
We were going to be. It was going to be one big Ready Player One booth, and then he started on Ready Player Two, and then he wasn't available, so we never ended up doing it.
We did do one show as the Ready Player One characters, and we just had like a green screen backdrop kind of thing with our thing. So it was really fun, but
To be able
definitely
to do
obscure.
and she doing the details of the being in that world and the graphics, the pixels.
Oh,
She made all the
yeah.
pixels on
The
our faces
stencils.
and
No kidding.
stencils. Yeah.
Yeah, I had so many airbrush stencils that I had to like brush that blue on top, and then
All
like your
airbrushed,
arms.
completely airbrushed.
Yeah, that was a
Um,
lot of makeup.
The Grinch
because-
looks like it would have a lot of elements to be.
Well,
It
it's
does.
one with with ours. It's one prosthetic, and then a lot. Well, she pre-paints all the faces,
Yeah.
and then
Get the
just
cow.
doing, but applying and blending the eyes, blending the mouth. That takes time, but she's got it down to a science, so she gets it done in about an hour.
That's
No kidding.
Yeah,
She gets
with
Grinch
the
finished in an
pre-painted, the painting
I'll
of
show
the
you. You said-
prosthetics itself takes a lot of time because it's a lot of layers. But then just having him like glue it on and then blend the like chin part to the rest of the face and then just paint the eyes, and then he's good. I still think that Beetlejuice is more work because then you have to do the bald cap. So then it's like the bald cap alone takes so much time, and he's got a lot of hair, so it's like I have to slick that thing down to like nothing, put the bald cap on, let it dry, and it's like all
Yeah,
the
this is
layers
one of
of
our
color.
Oh wow!
Holy moly.
Look at that! Look at that detail. Even the eyebrows.
Oh my gosh, the eyebrows, and that's just like cut hair from the same fabric that I used for the rest of the body and like the.
But the eyebrows have to be different every time. All the
That is
facial hair
gorgeous.
has to be applied every single time.
Yeah.
So much detail.
I try to remove it so delicately so that I hopefully can like reuse.
We try. We
pieces
typically can
Look at that.
do it about
3 times.
3 applications on one face.
Yeah.
It's just
And then when you take it off with Super Solve, it breaks down the foam.
Oh,
So
the latex.
the latex. So after 3 removals, there's some thinning spots that happen that
Okay.
she's patched and repaired on other ones, but
Yeah. This is definitely one of the better ones I painted.
Hello there, everybody in Facebook Land. I see you're in the digital age. I'm still working on it. Silly Lou's teaching me. But anyway, have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Wow, that took a lot for me to do that. A little popcorn. Still working on it. Still working on it. All right, go away. Goodbye.
oh.
this is the
Oh, this
Kentucky-
was for Universal?
This is the no. This
Oh.
was for
What is that?
Kentucky.
Oh, that's
my
right, that's
God.
right.
This is a concept that she developed the makeup for
Yeah.
character.
Very, very cool. Look, it's got a big old bust in his head.
Yeah, because he's like just all shattered. And
That
he
is-
had like green tufts of hair on top.
Yeah,
like
it was
a
like on top on the sides.
bozo
Look at
clown
look at
kind
the
of thing.
brow. Like that is so incredible. And even like the eyebrows.
Yeah.
It gives
So
me
I shaded that.
gives me very much a Terrifier vibe.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
with
yeah.
that face
Yeah.
shape and the chin,
That
it totally
is
is.
gorgeous.
When it comes to the latex masks,
Yeah.
you make them yourself.
Mhm.
How long does it take? Like, say the Grinch, for
Oh,
instance.
like, well, these we had made from a friend of ours that has their own makeup shop, and so this was a sculpt that he did.
But it was raw.
But it was a raw, and then so I do the painting. This prosthetic I made though, this one here, I sculpted that one. So this is a separate prosthetic to this, and
Do you want to know what
this I got
this
to embellish.
really was before we? This was Captain Hook.
This was a Captain
This
Hook
is a Captain
prosthetic.
Hook. This is what you do to reinvent and re-engineer.
It had the right shape.
So
So-
this face was Captain Hook's face, and
Yeah.
then we turned it into the clown.
That's what it was labeled as, like a Captain Hook
Huh.
prosthetic, and I'm like, oh, it's got the chin, it's got the nose, it's almost like kind of Joker-esque too,
Yeah,
the way it is. So we're like, oh, we might be able to use this for a lot of different characters if I get more of these. But I just loved the way I could like hodgepodge these two prosthetics together. I just like built it on a bald cap, which we do the bald caps ourselves.
Now, those we do ourselves, our own bald caps.
I had to do a life cast of his head. So now we stipple the latex for a few layers to make our bald caps and pull them, because we used to buy every bald cap from Embellish, and that was just like racking up because we already
bald caps
buy,
are expensive.
Yeah, we already buy paint from them, so it was like, oh, like let's find a way to make our own bald caps because it's
and bald
doable.
caps don't fit properly.
No,
that's the thing is if you buy a generic bald cap,
mm-hmm.
it is either too short
Mm-hmm.
and
too big,
and it doesn't lay natural. Like when I did Fester, the first one we did, we got a bald cap from it. It just wasn't natural looking.
Yeah.
So I said, and again, here's me going, I can do it myself.
Right.
YouTube, start learning.
Yeah.
And then I did different products. I had different versions, like she does. You have version A, version B, version C. It took me to version C after research and development. Okay, this is the best product for the best application. So it usually took me 10 layers to build up for a bald cap. Now, with the new stuff, it only is 5.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it's basically, you take my live cast and you smother it with Vaseline. And then you take a latex and you pat it on, you draw out your line, depending on your character,
Yeah.
you draw out your lines where the prosthetic's going to go. And then you just start using a sponge and you start applying it. Then a thin layer, let it dry. Then you do another layer and you build it up, build it up, build it up. And then you slowly go underneath and you start pulling and powdering and pulling and powdering. And you finally can take it all off. And then you reverse it inside out because it's the smooth side.
Yeah.
And you have a bald cap.
Wow.
Where they charge, what, $25 for one cap?
No kidding.
Yeah.
And now at least like we have one like made to your face head.
Yeah.
So.
Oh my God, making the live cast for me was fun.
It's like a, torture almost. Like you're locked.
She originally we used alginate. Alginate is like the quickest way to make a live cast.
Okay.
But we didn't research enough, and the alginate we used too warm water, and it instantly gelled. It
cured.
So
too
she goes,
fast.
I got some bandages. We can do it old school. So we did old school live cast.
Plaster
Cast and everything.
And
so when it came to take it off, when
I had to cut you out.
Originally, normally you put straws.
Straws
in
up nose.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, I did, but I went to go do something. I bumped the straws. And the straws went into my cavity, bled. I mean, nose gushing out. So I'm going, oh my god. So we have somebody assisting, and we're filming this. And so I need more. So all this is on. I still have this on film. So I finally got it stopped. They applied the wraps, and then with wraps and with gauze, it does shrink.
Yeah.
So
it felt really like.
So she's like, okay, let's get into it now. Oh, how do we get into it? So Robert goes, well, let's just cut it open. Well, they used a saw on the back, and they're sawing, and it amplifies the sound.
No, they tried to use regular scissors, and I said,
regular scissors wouldn't cut.
I had medical scissors, like for a cast. So I was like, no, I need my medical scissors, and I had to find them. And then meanwhile, you were trapped.
And I'm going, And so Robert goes, we're just going to have to use a hammer. And I'm like, But they take a hacksaw, and start sawing into the back of my head.
No.
And, yes, they did.
No, that's what it sounded like, though.
And no, he started making a line. Don't tell me what I
must have been downstairs.
He's like, I am the one who went
I'm the one that was here. And so I'm here.
I
And
must
it's
have been
really, really
downstairs.
loud. And then you came up and went, oh, we'll just slowly cut it. I got the bigger ones. Robert's trying to saw my head off.
No.
So they get it to right about here. So I was at the point I was done. So I grabbed and I started pulling, and I'm going, and on the film, trying to loosen my face, and I finally got it out. Oh my God, it was so funny.
It was so worth it though.
But it was
It
great.
was so worth it though.
So worth it.
It was great.
But now you save that $25 every time you want to make.
I know, she's like, was it worth it?
It's totally worth it.
But it is totally worth it.
15 skull caps.
How long-
You're like, yes.
Oh, yeah.
How long was the whole process?
To do the live cast, it took a couple of hours.
Oh my gosh, I can't
Um,
even.
I had to sit.
Yeah.
I had to be in it
You had to be in that for about an hour and a half.
hour and a half, almost 2 hours, as it's drying,
Oh.
and
shrinks
her
a little
making
bit.
sure that my nose is open so I can breathe.
Yeah.
But as it's drying, it's starting to crush. It's actually starting to crush.
Yeah.
And I've had live cast done before, and I've had plaster cast done before, but there is that little bit of panic, that
Yeah.
little bit of what if.
This is what we suffered for.
Oh.
This is the battle of the life casting.
He made it. He made it, and he's on a little swivel, so when we want to turn him around and like stipple the. But you see, like where that latex line is hit so many times that it's
Yeah.
just like you just have to
The
clean
look
him
on
up
his
and-
face here is like, let's get this.
Yeah,
Oh,
this is
no, that's me going, okay, just be patient.
Just be patient.
There's
breaths.
there's a lot of concentration in this face right
Yeah.
now.
So much.
It was. Well, it's that frustration going, God, hurry up. Now, what's funny is we only got this much of me. And we were like, oh my God, we need this because we need the lower half. So we did another day. Is
Of
she
just that.
she made from here to here. Then we combined both molds, poured quickcrete, and it actually made one solid piece.
That's awesome.
Typically, you would
So creative.
typically, you would do, and you would
there's
wrap
me.
all the way down to here.
I did this in college at UCF. I did a makeup class, and that was one of our things. But it was only the front, half of the face, and then the back's just flat. So I didn't have to suffer as much as he did.
Oh my gosh.
Parsival and what's her name? Artemis?
Artemis.
Artemis.
And these were handmade from feathers.
Yeah.
From, where'd you get them from? China?
From Russia.
Russia.
Wig maker.
A Russian wig maker
I got these from her.
had these specially
But she,
imported
like, glued these little-
because everything's hand laid because of the colors. And if you look close, they are feathers.
Well, she's got feathers in the back.
Yeah,
right there.
there's feathers inlaid. We went to the Walking Dead con, and I was Needy instead of Negan.
Oh, fun.
And so I was Beetlejuice and I had a cigar, and she was Miss Show Me.
Miss Show Me.
And this is my bat. That's my juice seal.
Oh.
And then that's her katana that she did. And where's my leather jacket?
Should be somewhere back there.
You guys are so organized. I'm just looking at all of this.
I
You're
am
so
in
Oh my god! I have
organized.
so many wigs. Because before I had my wigs in the bags, I used to have these drawers down here, and these cats figured out how to get into my wigs. So when I come home, they were like, one drawer would be open, and then wigs would just like all
They
around
had
the
a lot of
house.
fun.
And I'd come back and be like,
Oh,
what?
it's on that side.
What'd you do? I'd be like, what'd you do?
You had fun.
Oh, I know. Always in it. Oh
I
my
mean,
gosh.
this
you
room is like a total playroom. I don't think I
Yeah.
would ever leave this room.
Wow.
I just sit and play dress up every day.
These cats
These
love
are all of
this
her.
room.
There's the
her,
guide hat.
Oh yeah, the guide hat.
David Bowie outfits.
Oh, look, babe. We've got the Bowie ensembles.
And this was for, what was this, honey? This was for,
Oh no, you're.
it's powder. You can stand on it.
That's just a pillow.
What was the show?
Oh, Future Legend.
Future Legend. And it was a Bowie tribute.
That poor
Oh
actor
my
had, like,
gosh.
costume changes. You hold on.
This was my, yeah.
The original Walking Dead guy.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, this was my leather jacket for Beetlejuice. And people loved it. They're
That's
like, oh my God, Beetlejuice. This is all of our, this is our set, our
Prop
booth,
pieces and
booth,
stuff?
booth,
All of our
equipment.
props.
Wow.
Wow.
and more costumes. Our old props from other, like you saw that when we had that sign in the back from Spooky.
That was one of our
That's
first
our
ones.
old sandworm that we on the wall.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, that was like a whole giant sandworm. That was our first sandworm we made out of just like foam board from the dollar store. And then that was our first like
sign that we did.
board
Yeah.
sign at our first Spooky together.
Oh, that's so
I had
cool.
to just like get that printed and we're like, I don't know, I guess we have to make a sign so people know what we're doing.
This is such
But
an
it's
amazing
still like
room.
definitely like in progress. I've like I've got so many things I still need to do in here. But
I'm just in awe of your organizational skills. Like this is beautiful.
It's coming
to me.
together.
Like look at all this space.
Oh, I love this. I inherited.
We never get to have space on here very often. It gets filled up.
Sure.
But this is like the Grinch fur that we.
Oh my heavens.
Grinch scraps.
Grinch scraps.
Yeah, some of these are just scraps from recent projects. I just haven't put away yet.
Like I watch your videos and I see you in here, and I'm always like, that is the coolest room. But now I'm in here, I'm like, y'all ain't gonna get me out of here. This is the coolest place.
All my
different patterns.
Wow.
These are all my musicals I did over the years with my costume design.
Are you planning on doing a cosplay of slapping somebody in the face with one of these?
No, she's making purses.
I want to make like purse clasps, like little purses out of Twisted Tea cans, and like so people can carry a can of whoop ass wherever they go. And I just started like, I didn't really drink Twisted Tea, but then I was like, I'm gonna just drink it so I'm not just pouring it out.
Right. Waste not, want not. I'm right there with you.
Exactly. So I was like, oh, after a couple sips, it's not that bad. So I got a few, and I want to make one for my friend, but I have to find the right like hardware to make like the clasp part of the purse. So that's like a little side project. After that happened, I was like, I really want to make a purse out of that.
Oh wow.
I got to do, except for the Broadway ones that I got to go see. But these I got to costume design and stuff. So that was like at the Garden Theater, Theater West End, the Abbey, and then like Varieties, Carnival. I've been doing all that. So, but those were like my first, like Heather's was probably one of my favorite. I'm such a Heather's nerd that I tried to recreate every look from that film, and I was like, I'm so sorry, Veronica, you have like 12 costume changes. I hope that's okay. And she's like, no, I love it. I'm so there. So
I mean, she would.
It's so much fun. I've kept a lot of pieces from that show that I'm like, out of all my thrift hauls from like finding like 80s blazers and stuff.
This is so great.
But it's so much fun. I've recently like remodeled my little cutting table.
I love this like wallpaper that you've got.
It's this
everywhere.
like contact paper. I've like put it on like every surface I can touch, but
no, it really kind of
it helps kind of tie it together.
It makes it look like a cohesive space.
Yeah, this was my friend Marcy Singhouse's cutting table before she retired, and like after she passed away last year, I got to like acquire all of her costume design patterns from her studio. But she always called me her protege, Marcy Singhouse. She's like a famous locally famous costume designer, and her brother-in-law was the famous drag queen Miss Sammy from Orlando, and we lost both of them last year. And so it was just a lot of like going through like friends' things, like where are we gonna put all this stuff, and they're like, well, you're the sewer, so you take it all. So I'm like I take it, but I'm like, I'm not gonna do it. So I had all of our other fellow like costumers in town, and I like split Marcy's kit up into like 5-6 people, so like everybody got to walk away with like some of Marcy's stuff. Like she had like a million measuring tapes, so I'm like, I don't need all these measuring tapes, like someone else can have them. And I've got like patterns that she like hand drew and stuff, so I'm like holding that stuff, so I'm like carrying the torch for her.
Absolutely.
And if you see a studio and it's clean on TV, it's just a prop.
No,
I real working studio, you never see a clean.
I know for a fact it's all fake. Yeah.
I got to keep my mind stimulated. So, and starting to coding and writing script for this, you know, I just love how electronics, like sewing for her is electronics for me, where I can look at something and I know what resistors and what, you know, from A to Z, how it will work and why it works. And
it's like a second language. It's crazy. I don't know how you do that stuff, but I'm like, all right, more power to you.
It's no different than anything else that you do, like your cake making and you know, you look at it and go, well, I know the techniques that work and stuff like that, and you with your CAD designing, it's a niche that people just, it works, it clicks, and you get it.
Like I couldn't show you how to make a dress to save
I
your
don't
life.
want to make it
Are you sure?
It won't match my eyes.
Yes, this handmade.
We've been
pinball
teasing
table.
it forever. Now I've got to see it go.
Oh well, what's your like? I know in your geekdom, Star Wars is yours. Is Star Wars yours too?
I'm pretty big into Star Wars also.
We can definitely start with that.
I'll start with Star Wars.
Yay!
There really isn't a geekdom that I don't love in some way.
Right.
Oh, hello.
You tell him.
It's a lot of trial and error. There's basically friends of mine write the script. I have to take the script and I have to go in and code and redo the script to make it work properly. It's basically they haven't got it working properly, and then I fine tune all the coding.
But it's fun for just us, because originally it was like, I'm just going to learn how to do it and have it at home. So but now he's got so many games on it.
So the pinball machine, how many hours do you have invested in putting it together?
It took me about 4 months
to
build it from scratch, to do the wiring, and I'm still to this day working the bugs out, getting the front end, because it's an open development, basically with a group of pinball enthusiasts. This was big in Europe, and now the virtual pinball is getting better and getting bigger in the United States. So I actually FaceTime a couple of my friends in Europe, in England, and we talk shop, and they develop a little bit of the table, I do a little bit of the table, and we just keep going. But none of this is for a reason. This is completely free. All of the tables are free, the software is free. It's just you developing it yourself.
It's the work.
There's a bunch of guys that can just make the tables, and but they go, it has bugs, it does this, it does that, it doesn't work. So you, as a developer, have to figure out the bugs, and that's what I do. When you see a lot of the tables crash, that's because I'm still working on it. But it's coming together and everything. That's why the resale of these things are very hard to do, because there's so many bugs. You could build this for somebody, and they could have bugs in the system.
Yeah.
So as an owner, you have to be a developer and an owner at the same time to know what you're doing in case there's a problem. Because, oh my God, if I had to do service calls, and it's just an ongoing thing.
You'd be at that all the time.
Yeah, I thought about remaking them and selling them, but I'm like, I really can't, because I couldn't be, doing the work that we do and then doing this, I just can't. This is a hobby.
Yeah.
So, but I love to have people come over and play it, because I get joy in people playing it and seeing my work. And I enjoy people going, wow, you did really good. That's what I love, is the build. Same as our booth.
Oh, yeah.
I love people coming in and seeing that. So, but yeah, it took hours and
That's
hours.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
So many
And you don't know how many miles of wire.
Yeah, you showed me the inside of it. I mean,
It looks like if you took spaghetti and went,
from up here, it looks so assuming because it's all digital. You figure, a few wires here and there, but there's so much inside there.
There's a high-tech computer that's built, no case, that I have in the middle, and then I have I have 3 power systems. I have a power supply for the LEDs separate. I have two power strips. I have an Arduino board in there. I have a force feedback board in there. I have 3 amplifiers in there, 3 surround sound systems in there. I have surround sound force feedback speakers that are glued to, that's what you feel. And so they're connected to it. And I have 255 LEDs. I have an LED strip underneath. I have 2 on the side. I have a dot matrix that goes across here that I made, and the LEDs that go into the speakers. I have an LED strip that goes behind here. There are 4 4K TV monitors, and a lot of love.
That's amazing. Right. Where's my ball? There it is. Oh no! So much going on. Oh, okay.
For someone with ADD, this is the wrongest game for you. Oh!
That was also close.
Oh yeah, this is sensory overload, but I'm loving it.
For sure.
With this
You want to try?
Yeah, your turn.
303,000. That's not bad.
Yay. See? Pretty good for not knowing where the ball is the whole time. Yay. All right. See if you do better.
It's good to see you, Marty.
It's good to see you.
Nope. Got to start the start button.
Get hit. Oh, the red one.
The
red, the black
Saturday morning, October 26, 1985, 1:18 a.m. Assemble experiment number 1.
Dang. Dude, what the? Oh! Come on, man!
There's so many details in this. It's phenomenal.
I just love the light effects on this one.
All right, Rob, show us how to master this one.
Ooh. I was too busy watching Harry. I got excited. It's doing the clinkies. It's clinking around up there. One of my favorite parts about the monsters is that the cousin, the Marilyn, they feel sorry for her because she's so normal. That's so cool.
Hello, friends. So as I'm sitting here editing the video together, I realized that the conversation that Gretchen and I had face-to-face with Rob and Kyla was 3 hours long. It's one of those situations where time flies when you're having fun and you're just entranced with the stories that people give you. I'm sure you've been in that situation where you just sit there and listen to somebody's amazing stories for hours on end. And that's exactly what happened. So we decided that on this video, obviously we would focus on the CosFX Studio aspect of the conversation that they had with us. And that leaves a lot of the face-to-face conversation that we had on the cutting room floor, essentially. But I want you guys to see it because it's so cool. Rob said he worked for Universal Studios for 25 years. Kyla's parents worked for Universal Studios, got her into Universal Studios. They have such a background, not just with Universal Studios, but creativity in general. I want you guys to see the full conversation. I really do. So what I'm going to do is put the full unedited conversation on a separate video on our YouTube channel. But the only way you can see it is if you check the link in the description below for this video, okay? I really want you guys to watch it. It was so much cool behind the scenes information that I don't think a lot of people are really willing to share. So please, if you have the time, go check it out. And if all goes well, we're going to have more of Rob and Kyla on future videos on this YouTube channel as well, because we really want to hang out with them again. They're so freaking cool. So, you know, we didn't have a chance to give a proper ending to this video, so consider this that, all right? And we will talk to you guys next time. You guys, thanks so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please consider hitting that thumbs up below.
And if you want to hang out with us, hit that subscribe button. Be sure to ring that notification bell so you don't miss a video. But our latest video is right here.
And the video that we picked specifically for you to watch is right here. Enjoy.